Down to Biscayne.
Yeah. 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Bucker said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing, got it all band. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust.
You sound scared.
It's about have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to another 5 on the Floor live. I come to you directly after what might be the best win of the season, so much so that we weren't scheduled to go live, but we made the decision on the fly to do this. We come to you directly after the Heat to win over the Lakers. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, we have Major Passons, who I want to remind everybody is not a jinx in any kind of bad way, because the Heat had their third biggest win in Heat history tonight against this LeBron-led Laker team. Digital Adele is here as well. We are going to dive into everything as it relates to this matchup because it was one of the best games of the season. It was a pleasure to watch, which is not something I think we can say about most games this year. So there's a lot of good stuff to unpack. Before we do, I want to shout out Off the Floor. That is our Discord server. You need to go there for the most comprehensive Miami Heat coverage anywhere. We have a bunch of different channels so that you can talk all kinds of stuff, not just Heat, but you could talk hip hop, you could talk fantasy sports, you can talk other sports, NFL. It's all done here. $2.99, $3.99 on your Apple device, but $2.99 on desktop. This is where you want to be. Go to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere. All right, y'all. So this is via Tim Reynolds. I'm just going to start with the basics. Heat 134, Lakers 93. Third biggest win in Heat history, 41-point victory. Most assists in Heat history, 42. Tied for the most threes in Heat history at 24. Everything went right. Tyler Herro was crazy. We're going to get to him later. I guess, Major, let's go to you first because everyone thought you were the bad luck charm, and now you have proven that is that jinx is no longer effective. What are your thoughts on tonight's game? We're going to get into the Lakers a little bit too. Like, how much of this can we get excited about? But just overall, like, your thoughts on probably what I think is the most entertaining Heat game so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy not to be excited, but at the same time, it would be crazy to act like this is going to happen every single time, right? They bounced back from a horrible shooting night against the Celtics, as the comment just that we put up there asked, where was this against the Celtics? It's statistics. Like, you're not going to miss every shot or make every shot for every single game. So I think there was a lot to like. The ball was moving around. Bam was very decisive to start the game. He didn't have to do that for the rest of the game because, as we'll talk about, Tyler Herro and Jimmy was also engaged from the start, had a couple steals and big moments. I mean, everyone pretty much played good. Thomas Bryant had 8 points and Anthony Davis had 8 points. There's an actual argument that Thomas Bryant outplayed Anthony Davis, which anytime you can say that, you're going to be pretty happy with the result. So I think we should all enjoy it as Heat fans that always have to struggle through regular season games. And then we just, don't expect that every game, because now I can see Twitter just like blowing up the next game that it's not like this and, being mad.
Yeah. This is one where you got to take the victories where they come, Adele. Yeah. It's a situation where the Heat have had a lot of games where it's either a clutch game or they're playing down to competition or outright losing to teams that they shouldn't. There's just been a lot of weird basketball, and it's been up and down kind of 500 stuff. And then tonight in a game where, I expected the Lakers have been on this weird trajectory where they got beat in Minnesota. LeBron's been unable to connect on a 3-point shot over multiple games. Did he hit one tonight? Yeah, he went 1 of 4. So he at least hit one. So that streak is over for him. Was this more from your perspective something that we should like take as a strike against the Lakers? And what was your favorite thing about the Heat's offense tonight? Because the assists just, I'm surprised that they were able to get the most threes, most assists like that. That speaks a lot. But what did you see specifically that that kind of led to those type of robust statistics?
What I saw specifically was a Lakers defense that wasn't very good. Also, I saw a very disinterested group. They weren't playing together. They weren't playing with any type of crispness or edge. Their turnovers, I kept checking how many turnovers they had while asking Matt Hennepin how many they had. And it just felt like way more. All their turnovers were live ball turnovers. Nobody was getting back on defense. It felt like a defeated group. What I really liked, what was really fun about this game, as you mentioned, was all the assists. And if you look at their 3-point shooting, Duncan and Pelle Larsson were their worst 3-point shooters all night. I'm not going to count Bam's one attempt, but everybody else was shooting like 80%, 56%, 40, 50, 40. Everybody was hitting threes, making their shots. It was a party, man. It was like an AAU party. And that was also the level of defense that the Lakers played tonight. So it was fun. It was just a fun game. The fans deserve this. The true Heat diehard fans deserve a win like this where they, Jimmy Butler was up and engaged from the beginning of the game in the passing lanes, getting steals. Now, a couple of those steals kind of just fell in his lap because the Lakers just like mishandled the ball, but you'll take it where you can get it, right? And then Tyler, we're going to talk about that later in the program, but wow, he just went nuclear and ballistic on the court. But it was a fun game all around. But there are some takeaways that are pretty glaring from the Heat fans going to want to take away from this as well. More who didn't play for the Miami Heat as well. So we'll get it into all that good stuff. But it was just fun. But my major takeaway before I go is Major Money not being the jinx that everyone thought he was.
Yep. We've deaded that 100%, which is good because I had faith in the process. I don't trust the process, but I had faith in this process, and obviously it's good to see that finally we could just put it to bed. We don't even need to mention it anymore. Right off the floor, right? Twitter. No, I joke. Let's actually go to our first segment. You mentioned Tyler Herro, and he was on one in the third quarter. We're going to talk about it with the Insurance by Lynette, a aggressive player of the game.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the Heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
Tyler Herro. He keeps outdoing himself. And this was a game where he actually started out not shooting so great. If I remember at one point, I think he was like 4 of 11 from 3 at early in the game. Don't quote me on that, but he wasn't shooting great to start. And then the third quarter happened. And he outscored the damn Lakers by himself. I think it was 21-20 was what I saw. Major, this is a situation where Tyler Herro is, every time we think, okay, because, these last few games, maybe not every single game, but his field goal percentage has dropped a little bit in the last couple weeks in comparison to where it was. And I started to think to myself, the same way I think Bam will eventually level out with his statistics, is Tyler now going to start seeing that steady decline. And this was a game where he smashed that idea. That notion is expelled immediately. He was the best player on the floor on a night when Anthony Davis is out there, when LeBron James is out there, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, etc. Your thoughts on Tyler Herro being an absolute bucket in this game with 31 points?
I mean, his 3-point shooting this year, I haven't looked at it in the past couple of games, but I know he was number 1 in the NBA for a while. And I mean, he shot 56% this game. Started out 7 of 7 from 3, and I was upset he didn't get more shot attempts in the third quarter. Like, the fact that he was even passing the ball, it was literally to that point where he touched the ball at the logo, and I was like, dude, just shoot it. Like, I don't even care. I don't care what shot attempts you're getting up, just put them up. He has been sensational, and what I really enjoy about him too is he's not forcing it all game. Like, in the start of the game, he was taking good threes. But then once he did get, abnormally hot, like that's just hottest man on the planet, he still didn't just jack up every single three like I would have if I was in that situation, right? Like, he was still using screens. He was still passing at times. And even if it was a reset to get to him, it was still actually sound offense where you can see he's grown, because young Tyler Herro would have just jacked up shots that were even bad shots. But the way in which he played, the way in which he holds himself in this game, he could have slacked off on rebounding and other things. He was still engaged in that as well. I mean, anytime you outscore a team in a full quarter, you're going to be player of the night. There's not a way we can exaggerate how well you played. So I think Tyler Herro legitimately deserves all-star recognition right now. And if he continues this, I promise you he'll be an all-star. He might be the Heat's only all-star, but he will be an all-star. I think we need to get that ball rolling, because I think media really does make a big difference. So I'm starting it right now. Tyler Herro will be an all-star this year.
The campaign has began. I think you're right. The Heat are only going to get one all-star, and you'll be able to justify if they can stay out of the 7 and below. Like, if you're in the top 6, I think you get an all-star. Like, I think that's how that'll play out, and Tyler is playing well enough to do so. I tweeted earlier as the game was going on that everyone who jumped off Bam's bandwagon, we're not letting you back on, and we've been taking notes. So I'm actually going to use this moment to pivot to Bam. Adele. He was 6 of 8. He still is we were laughing on playback, and people who haven't joined us there, you should come watch the game with us. It's a lot of fun. We chop it up and talk Heat and a bunch of other stuff. But we were talking about the way that Bam has struggled so much. And Sean was like, he had a triple-double last week. He was in triple-double territory tonight. He looked a lot better. Offensively, specifically, is where he was really efficient. Your thoughts on Bam's night, where he kind of looked like this could be a slump buster? I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I got faith in no ceiling Bam Adebayo finding his way through this, and this looked like a really good big step towards that. Your thoughts on his offense?
Bam is back on the Bam wagon. He's back on it, man. And when we talk about what Bam does, scoring is just a small part of Bam as a basketball player. The rebounding, the switchable defense that he provides, shot blocking, steals, facilitating, being offensive hub. Those are all things that make up Bam Adebayo. So the finishing around the rim, we knew that eventually water was going to reach its level. He was going to finish better around the rim. And what I particularly liked tonight was he had mismatches. He had players that he is supposed to be able to finish over in the paint, and he did that. He did the little things and took care of the mismatches he was supposed to take care of, and didn't blow bunnies and wasn't getting pushed around by a smaller player. He was aggressive. And to speak to the Lakers' defense, or the lack thereof, a lot of those baseline cuts and a lot of those lobs in transition, all of that stuff was available tonight. And he was able to capitalize on it. So hopefully that could be a big confidence boost for him, because I believe that's something that the average fan takes for granted, how much confidence plays into how well a player plays or not plays. Like, it's huge.
Great point.
It's huge. And so if this can boost his confidence, I'm very interested to see what that means for him going forward in the next several games. So I like what he brought to the floor. I like that he was able to bury mismatches. And I would like to see the Heat get to that more in their offense, getting Bam isolated on mismatches and let him go to work.
Yeah, and I think part of that has been he's just been missing shots he normally would make. And like that makes then him tentative when maybe he's got a mismatch. He kind of thinks, okay, well, I haven't been shooting well enough. He talks about it's not in his head. It's hard for it not to be to some degree, I think, but you work yourself through it by repetition and by going back to the things that you've learned that work. And, you kind of just have to ride through the tough moments. Spoelstra even referenced it it may have been the pregame presser where he said, we know that Bam isn't where he's supposed to be offensively, but we'll see, him through this. And I thought tonight was a big night against Anthony Davis, who is a tough matchup. I mean, we saw that Bam was hurt in the finals, but there's been other games where Anthony Davis has been, a matchup where, he can be tough for anyone to stop. So tonight was a game where you had Anthony Davis finished with 8 points. He was 3 of 14. So Bam did his thing defensively, but also was great offensively. Shout out to him and to people who thought that he was going somewhere. That he's going to figure it out. And I love the Bam wagon. We're going to coin that for sure. Let's get to our next segment. We'll go to the play of the day.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
So you all are very much welcome to pick a different play to the chat. If you want to spam the chat with your favorite play of the night, since this was such a resounding Heat victory, we should celebrate as many good plays as possible. I will take the lead by saying that the Bam Adebayo sort of travel, but turned into nasty put on a poster dunk on Max Christie was my favorite play of the night, but Tyler had a bunch of them. Major, your favorite play of the night, and I'll scan the chat to see if anybody's given us any good ideas there as well.
Yeah, I mean, that Bam dunk is like the best play of the night. That was amazing. That was awesome to see him take that up with such confidence and ferociousness that we haven't always seen. And real quick, before I get to this, I want to mention Bam shooting. In the first quarter, I think it was his second shot. He had that one that trickled in. And you could see his body language, like, oh my gosh, like that went in. These past whole year, that has not fallen in. That could be a little trickle down effect. So I think that could be not really like play of the night, but a pretty big play when you look, if he goes on a little scoring streak, just seeing that go in, just like relief. Oh, things might be turning my way. Right. Then another little play that it's a 40-point game in the fourth quarter, and you have Jaquez flying across the court, still contesting, still going all out for every single rebound. Like, those things matter to coaching staffs. We talk about, and me and Matt talked about this on our Skyforce podcast, of, these guys playing at the end of the game. It doesn't matter for the score of the game, right? It doesn't matter if you win by 35 or 42. No. But it's those little things you can do that earn playing time and earn people's respect. And that's why people love Jaquez, like him flying around and him balls to the wall, even when no one else is. And especially when the Lakers have already given up, right? You have Jaquez there when his team's up. He's still playing for pride. So I think those two are little plays that, like you said, in such a game that had amazing plays, those two little plays kind of stood out and projecting maybe potential for the rest of the season.
I love that you brought up the Bam shot where it rolled in, because he actually, you could see it was visible where he like said to himself, like, finally one of them dropped. Like, basically, like, I'm being body language expert, obviously, but he made some sort of expression of relief, kind of like, okay, finally this is happening. You could see it. So you're so right that, like, it's those little plays that all of a sudden the basket gets bigger and you start to say, okay, this is something I can build upon, or finally my touch is back and I'm not just hitting the broadside of a barn kind of situation with some of the attempts recently. We've had the chat hit us with some good suggestions, like some of the Herro avalanche. Jimmy had 3 dunks. Adele, what was your favorite play of the night?
My favorite play of the night was a Jimmy Butler dunk that was really basket interference, where old man Jimmy hung on the rim with one hand and then dunked it with the other, and the ref didn't call it.
Can't believe they didn't catch it.
Yeah, so the old man got away with one, but that was my favorite play of the night. But I want to shout out an underrated player that does a lot of the dirty work defensively, and he made a lot of plays with just his length in terms of passing lanes, and that's Haywood Highsmith. I think he's a very good player for the value of his contract for what they got. And I want to shout out how well he improved his 3-point shooting, because out of all the offensive exploits, out of Tyler's, out of Jimmy's, out of Bam's, out of everybody shooting well from 3, Haywood Highsmith shot 80% from 3 tonight. He was 4 of 5. So it wasn't on like low volume. He did an excellent job doing all the little things, all the dirty work, and then paid it off with his 3-point shooting. He even stepped into one off the dribble. So he was feeling good.
That's a really good point. I'm glad that you shouted him out, because we probably would have made it through this episode and missed Haywood Highsmith, and he was key. Defensively, he's been really good. We know that that's kind of what he's getting paid for, but the 3-point shot, the arc on the shot has changed. Like, if you go back and watch the first time he arrived, I think it was really early on. I had the chance to talk to him in Charlotte, and he had just joined the team. And I said, do you see yourself as a stretch 4? And he said, yeah, that's probably going to be my position. And now you're starting to see him finally figure it out from 3. I'm glad that you mentioned him. We have people in the chat telling us that JJ Redick's presser is rough. I'll be interested in what that's about later on. Let's actually go directly into our next segment, because we are going to use it probably in an unconventional way, but it'll make sense once we get there.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame, because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
Well, as much as I want to pinpoint a Miami Heat player, let's just, again, the shooting splits tonight. The Heat got up 90 field goals, 47 of which were threes. They shot 58%. I'm rounding up because it's the type of night to round up. Overall, they shot 51% from 3. Free throws 6 of 9. That was kind of whatever. The Lakers look messed up. They look disconnected, a step slow. Because the chat mentioned that the JJ Redick presser is rough, and we don't really know exactly what they mean by that. I think it's a good segue for us. It's kind of the universe working in ways for us, because we wanted to talk about just how bad the Lakers look. Do y'all think, Adele, I'll come back to you here. Is this the most listless like team that we've seen so far this year? Because now we're 19 games in, 20 games in. I don't think that I've seen a team yet that looked this defeated this early of all the teams that have been on Miami's schedule. You're on mute.
It's just like always. So I agree with you. This is the most listless team that we've seen so far this season, to the point where when I was looking at how poorly they were playing on defense, how little effort they were giving, I said, does JJ Redick make it to the end of the season? And I'm not saying that to be facetious or to be mean. There's a track record here where LeBron head coaches tend to be the first avenue of relief for that organization. And the way the team's responding, I could see how this could end up very badly for one JJ Redick. So it was as bad as it looked from a X's and O's standpoint, from a details standpoint, from an effort standpoint. The Lakers were abysmal defensively. You could literally get whatever you wanted. It was AAU level defense and effort, just a pickup game in the park, man. So yeah, it was as bad as it looked from a Lakers perspective. And I do have serious questions about the JJ Redick tenure.
And that'll be an interesting one because they hired him as kind of like a prized addition. And like, the Pat Riley stuff immediately came up. I want to shout out this particular comment. We have the team to beat Miami Heat here on our live show for the podcast listeners. He says, Major, how many diapers have you changed so far? Major is a new dad. So we need to first say congratulations. We also need to know how many diapers have you changed so far? And do you prefer those diapers to the Lakers defense this evening?
No, I saw that comment. I don't know. I don't have an exact number, right? But I saw that comment. And I was going to say there was a lot of Lakers defense in those diapers, if you know what I mean. Just some stats to pull it up. 3-pointers, as you mentioned, the Heat shot 51%. 2-pointers, something that the Heat are not good at. They shot 65%. Above the break threes, 45%. Corner threes, 62%. In the paint, the Heat shot 50%. 3-point frequency, 52. So more than half of their shots were threes tonight. Layups, this is the big one. The Heat were 13 of 23. And why is that a big one? It's because the Miami Heat cannot make a layup. And specifically their driving layups. I'm going to pull it up here. 7 of 11. When's the last time you've seen a Heat team this year be that good at driving layups? That is just proof they were not playing any defense at all, right? There were several times after a made basket, the Lakers are jogging back and just not even guarding a transition layup. And that shouldn't even be transition. It's after a made basket. That's just pathetic. That's pathetic in high school basketball, much less you're an NBA franchise, much less you're a storied NBA franchise with, in my opinion, the greatest player you had ever touch a court on your team. Like, you'd think that would mean something to you, right? But this was horrible. I think Lakers Twitter is going to have just like breakdowns of this defense, and it's going to be the worst thing you've ever seen. I've literally never seen an NBA defense so bad.
Adele, close us out with you had a play you wanted to mention. We'll take any last comments if anyone out there that's watching live. We'll get those in, and then we're going to close up shop in this huge Miami Heat victory because we got to celebrate the wins while we got them. But I know you wanted to get to a play.
Yeah, absolutely. And just Major painted the picture perfectly. He, put a Picasso up, and it popped into my mind. Duncan Robinson wide open under the basket, 0 people around him. All the Lakers turn and stare at him. And he's just like, nope, I'm going to kick it out for a 3. Like, that level of non-effort and rotation and all the Lakers players literally just staring at him just is seared into my brain as an example of their terrible effort. And I just thought it needed to be pointed out. But yeah, I agree with everything Major said in that regard.
And Duncan passed up that shot out for a Tyler 3, and we joked, well, that's more points per possession. So I guess that was a better move. But I think that's when you start to see the way that analytics can get a little wonky if you try to use them for measuring every aspect of basketball. That's a conversation for another day. Again, we are excited to close out the show. 134-93 was the final score. At Pat Riley Court at the Kaseya Center. Thank you to Major. Thank you to Adele. We will have you covered for the rest of the week. The Heat are on a homestand. They've had some additional games added to the schedule. We'll have you covered for those too. Make sure you check out Discord. Thank you to everyone who joined us live, and you'll hear us on the podcast tomorrow. Peace out.